All right. No, everything has not worked. Has not worked. So everything from my Steam Deck has completely decided to lose all memory. It's in its completely default state. So I can't even switch scenes. So we're gonna switch here soon to the screen, and yeah, then that's just one in a series. That's great. All right. That being said, welcome to the Null News, and thanks for joining. All right, quick little update. I'm going to be trying some things for this show specifically for the future, and I really would like your feedback. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be trying to do some things, change it up just a little bit, because I feel like I bring a lot of value that a lot of you longtime viewers really appreciate, and so I don't want to lose that. But I also want to do something to help encourage some other people to join in and watch. So keep an eye out for some of that. I will be doing some of that in the near future. So, hey Russell, yep. Sorry I'm late again. I don't know what happened between yesterday's stream and this stream. None of my stuff wanted to work. All right, so if this is your first time, we go over software engineering news and everything, and it's pretty fantastic. We start with a little bit of security. This is one of the first things I'm going to change up a little bit. I'm trying to isolate it down to things that I think are important to software engineers and or cloud engineers. And we'll talk maybe a little bit more loosely about it, and maybe about some of the big deals and why they could be big deals to you, or should be big deals to you. Okay. So we have quite a few things that we're going to go over. We have a little bit of cloud news. There wasn't actually a ton in the cloud news. There was a lot in security. You're going to want to step through security. Everything from, TLDR, if you can't watch this whole thing, you need to update your Git. There's a remote code execution flaw in that, and we'll cover that a little bit later. We're also going to cover a little bit about some MailChimp has had another breach, so we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to cover some cloud news, some new things from Microsoft, Azure, and all of your favorite clouds. We'll cover them and what they have released. I have actually some interesting GCP news that you'd have to actually be subscribed to, because they didn't actually publish it, but we got emailed it. And then we'll end up. We're going to talk about some interesting ideas and thoughts on the current idea of software engineers. I want to talk about this because I know that the economy is bad right now. And like there's some of these major corporations like Microsoft and Google are laying off, and then we also have this threat of AI. And I did a stream yesterday on AI, and I want to just reiterate some of my understandings and feelings from that stream, and as well as talk about some of the numbers. We actually had a person in the community that had some of the numbers that I was actually calculating or had pulled up in different websites. They got it in a spreadsheet, so we'll look over that and we'll talk about it a little bit. All right, and because I don't have a Steam Deck today, I'm going to just use the manual approach. 1 second. Let's get into the news. Oh yeah, that was a smooth transition. Smooth transition. Couldn't be better. All right. All right, this one, top of security. Apple has begun scanning your local images files without consent. This I find actually to be terrifying. If it was an opt-in, it would be. I usually thought Apple was pretty good with this. I think this is for like machine learning. Yeah. So I don't know, but they said that you can opt out. So there is an opt out, but an opt out isn't something that you do once you already. That's like being like, oh, we won't scan your images, and and then you start scanning and be like, well, we let you also opt out. Now, I don't know if there was a chance to opt out before they actually started, but it has security implications to it. So, yeah. There's always news about this. I'm not sure we really want to talk about this. Quantum algorithms to break standard algorithms. I mean, we have the NSA has for a while had hopefully quantum resistant algorithms that are out there. They're more expensive. And by expensive, I don't even mean like they cost a lot. I just mean like they're expensive as in compute. So yeah, it's out there. But yeah, anyways. The CISA, so the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, released some interesting things here. So I know last week I talked about a hacker group that basically hacked some industrial controls, and this week the CISA released a couple things. So there's these 4 CVEs that they released, and these are all around industrial machines and control systems, and at least 2 of them were related to the ones that were hacked that I could tie together. So anyways, I know that this is a little outside of our cloud, but because these are industrial control machines, but I thought it was interesting to look at. These CVEs are pretty interesting, and interesting is like OpenSSL. It was a bug in OpenSSL, and these were these industrial control systems that were using OpenSSL. So like even some of these, like I was thinking industrial control machines, some circuitry or something, but like some of it is just as simple as a vulnerable OpenSSL release. Now, some of these are actually a little bit more interesting, what you might think of here. But yeah, anyways. So I found those interesting for us. Again, there's more PyPy packages. Fortinet found these PyPy packages, HTTPS lib, colors lib, and lib HTTP. So I guess lib is the keyword here. If you find a PyPy package with lib in it, be careful. And these were some more new 0-day attacks. So just be careful. Be careful about it. All right. I don't know why these 2 are here in security. These 2 are here in security. We're going to skip them for right now because they weren't supposed to be there. But Go 120 is coming. I almost feel like I should make a video about Go 120. I will do a live stream about Go 120. That I can do. I'm going to be live streaming on Saturdays too. We had a lot of fun. Maybe we'll continue having fun if you want to join. I think Go 120 is maybe not as big as Go 118, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. So, all right. There was a new Mailchimp security incident. I say new. Last year they also had one, about the middle of the year. So it's been about 6 months since they had one. This is not a great response. I'm not even sure, like, I had to go to other sources that I'm not even sure that I have more insight. So they didn't give a whole lot. So I'm looking to see some more from them. It's still early in, so hopefully we'll see some more soon from them. And yeah, so if you use Mailchimp, though, you should chimp. I think I said chip, like a betting chip or a potato chip. Anyways, if you use them, and I know that a lot of people do, you really need to understand the blast radius, which is kind of hard right now from my understanding, but the best you can. The best you can. That's all you can do. The best you can. All right. If you're in Azure, Orca found server-side request forgeries in 4 different Azure services. So now these have been patched. They promptly fixed the issue. So my understanding from this reporting is that they have been patched. So you don't have to do anything. And that's actually more specifically, there was nothing you needed to do to get the patch. The services themselves have been patched. It was a flaw in those services, and there is nothing that you need to do at this point. So this is more of a PSA. You were vulnerable. You're not vulnerable now. Hopefully you're happy. Jabril, you don't like MailChimp? Letting its 25 users down again? I think a lot of people use MailChimp, don't they? I don't know. I think it's decently priced. I don't know. I don't personally use it, but I thought it was. Anyways. All right, so something that's going to be more important to you guys, not things that were already fixed in Azure. Although this actually is a really great write-up from Orca. It's actually a really good write-up. If you guys don't know what server-side forgery stuff is, you can go here, look at this, and see what these request forgeries were. They have what the affected services were. Another thing, if you actually use these services, you might want to go and check if you see any weird logs. That might be. They didn't say that they had any evidence of. Microsoft didn't state that they had any evidence that there had been a breach. Anyways, so it goes pretty into what is a server-side request forgery, the SSRF. And they talk a little bit about it. So it's actually a pretty good article. I'm going to make sure to link this one in the description if you want to read it. But then it also goes into Microsoft's specifically server-side request. But do you know what's more important to you guys than this? There was Git security vulnerabilities announced. So, and more importantly, maybe this should have been at the beginning, but I thought maybe it would encourage people to watch more than just past the beginning. Really, that's probably bad though. You need to use you need to upgrade, especially if you work in untrusted repositories or use the Git archive. So those are the things. So there's a CVE here. We can open those up, and yeah, heap overflow and Git archive, and Git attribute passing integer overflow. So basically all of these. So you need to upgrade, and here's the patch version, so you can go find which version that you need. If you're on Arch, you just need to go update your system. It's there probably. I haven't checked. Probably there. They keep it pretty up to date. So you need to go get Git. So this is pretty serious. So this does allow remote code execution on your machine though. So yeah, just be aware of that. What do I think about SigStore? SigStore is fantastic. We can talk about it. SigStore is fantastic. Remind me at the end and we'll talk about it. I can also show you guys, I updated the website some. I'm leaving what we got done yesterday. We generate an AI with the website with an AI. It's horrible. It's horrible, but I was actually going to talk about it some with like the AI and job security and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that more in the morning. So this was the security audit of of Git. So these came out of this audit, and I think that this audit was really nice to read, especially because like they get into some of the code. So the truncated allocation leading to out of bounds write via a large number of attributes, and they go into it, and then this is the write out of bounds on log formatting, so on the archival part. So they go pretty in depth in it, which is actually pretty awesome. And I love learning this. I love learning. And so digging into some of this and refreshing my mind on some of this stuff is really refreshing. But yeah, so update your Git. Update your Git. And I'll put the links to this as well. So this audit. This is terrifying. This says a breakthrough system can see through walls using a Wi-Fi router. Wonder what resolution. This makes sense. I mean, it's just like X-ray. I mean, I don't see like this being that big of a breakthrough. Really. I have no idea why this is here. We're going to come back to this with the Go stuff. Yep, we'll come back to that. We're just going to come back to that. I was so far behind today. I was rushing to get this out. All right. So, yep. PayPal security incident. Yeah, there was a security incident. We confirmed that unauthorized party were able to access your PayPal customer account using your login credentials. So right now, if you use PayPal, go reset your credentials. That's number one thing to do. They do say we have no information suggesting that any of your personal information was misused as a result of this incident, or that any unauthorized transactions of your account. I would go reset your password right now, though. Go reset it. Absolutely. That being said, what information of yours, personal information, did they steal? I'm not sure, but you need to go reset your password. Now, talking about resetting your password, what if I told you there was more password manager chaos? Now, we all know that LastPass is dead. Nobody should use LastPass anymore. Not 1Password. 1Password is a different one. 1Password is really good. Not the one I use, but it's really good. But what if I told you popular password managers auto-filled credentials on untrusted website? Now, sadly, my favorite, Bitwarden, fell prey to this. Now, the nice thing, Bitwarden has updated. It's already updated. So when Bitwarden loads and it says, hey, update me, you should do that. Always do it. Don't push it off. Go ahead and update it. Dashlane was also vulnerable to this. So this is something that Google found. And basically, password managers were autofilling credentials in untrusted pages, which is a horrible thing. Now, it's funny because even me as a non-security professional know that that is a horrible idea. But it seems like at least this article makes it sound like Dashlane wasn't convinced that this was a security issue. I can find... yeah, anyways. But they did fix it. It's all fixed. So, no problems. No problems. Now, if you're worried about the machine revolt, the revolution, don't worry. A very, very useful technique developed in the 1980s, I think, has been successfully deployed to defeat machine learning. Don't believe me, do you? U.S. Marines use cardboard box to defeat DARPA robot trained to detect humans. Metal Gear Solid, my friends. Metal Gear Solid. Remember hiding in a box? Kid? Pretending to be Snake? Yeah. Now, our soldiers will do it in real life. Okay, I put that in security because this is one of the problems I see so much with machine learning that no one talks about, is this type of attack. If you're depending on your car to drive and I can put a sticker that says the speed limit is 300 miles per hour, what is your car going to do? Or a sticker that says this isn't a stop sign, this is a go faster sign. Or if I put a sticker on, some produce in the store to check out and I only pay a penny for everything that I check out because that sticker is on there. This is the current problem because our machine learning isn't smart. We haven't developed any algorithms that actually are smart. What we develop is something that builds really complicated if statements. And that these if statements are so complicated, the people that don't even create them, train them, don't know exactly what they'll produce. That's kind of the interesting side of it. But at the same time, They're not smart. And we'll get more into that later. We'll get more into this. Was just in the security. We'll get more into it. All right, last one here. Rapid7 observed exploitation of a critical exploitation of managed engine vulnerability. So we can go look at that. This is the CVE in the NIST database. So it says that the score hasn't been provided yet, but Rapid7 was saying that it was a critical score. So yeah. Now, I don't use Security Manager, so not a big deal to me, but I do believe it's a pretty big Java community project, so I thought I'd throw it out there. And yeah. Now, let's get into cloud news. Now, I can't make the transition here because my Steam Deck is done, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the cloud and how it's kind of expensive. And I think maybe people are going to notice that, especially in a downturn economy. And these clouds are actually some of, in Azure and AWS's account are some of their big money makers. Now, this is something I covered a while ago. BaseCamp details their obscene $3.2 million bill that caused it to quit the cloud. And BaseCamp is the ones of Hey Email, as well as something else. I don't remember. So they're owned by 37 Signals. Anyways, they detailed out their bill, which this has actually been really interesting to see other people spend on these platforms and understanding how it gets there. So and understanding what it does, and what I would really like is to see how much it actually costs them when they're in their own colos. That is something that would be really interesting. If they compile the engineering time that they have down, if they compile the server, the colo space, the data center space, and all of that, I'd like to see that. Now, I think I would say always you can do it cheaper than the clouds. Absolutely. I have been a huge supporter of that for a long time. Now, I think what the clouds give you is dynamic scaling of extra services. So you need more compute now because your services are getting hammered because it's Valentine's Day, but the rest of the year it's not. That's a great use of the clouds. The only cloud that stands out to me as different is the Null Cloud, and that's mostly because it doesn't have any services. So it's pretty different. But so anyways, I'm wondering if you're going to see that. And I saw this article with the Register. Oh dear, AWS cloud growth is slowing as customers get a dose of cost reality. And a lot of people think of the cloud as cheaper. And, I honestly do think that it's fairly cheap for small things. So when you're using it in little doses and whatnot, it's much cheaper than buying a server but if you have the full use and capabilities, I do believe you can get cheaper. I think. It's hard. A lot of stuff runs in the clouds these days. So anyways, this is a trend that I want to keep an eye on as we cover, the clouds. I want to actually start looking over the next couple of months. I'm going to be looking at trends, growth trends, and where these companies spend. And I'm going to be looking for more data from companies like 37 Signals, who are going to release as much data as they will, and see if I can't understand better, what their cost is when, what their cost is now. How much are they spending for bare metal? So anyways, with that being said, let's talk about cloud news. We're in the cloud. GCP SSDs. Now, what this is an email. That's why it looks like this. I just copy and pasted the email in here. But what is happening is that local SSDs had a flat quota. And what's happening is that now that quota is by machine, the VM family. So the bigger VMs have a different quota than the smaller VMs. And it really actually makes sense that this is tiered that way. That being said, it's going to change how it's reported just a little bit. So you're going to want to look and see. You're going to want to look in your metrics and update any like Grafana charts or things like that you might be having, because this is going to throw you for a little bit. The old or current metric is this one, local SSD total storage, and the new metric is this local SSD total storage per VM family. So they're going to support this old one, this local SSD total storage, but it's going to be incorrect because of the new quotas. So the thing is, if you were okay with the old quotas, weren't bumping into them, you should be fine. You just have to understand that if you have the bigger instances, you actually have more headroom than what you originally do. So anyways, you want to update your metrics because that's just going to give you the best experience there. So anyways, wanted to let you guys know about that coming out. Google, other than that, the only thing I saw in Google was that their Cloud CDN now supports private origin authentication. So yeah, think Amazon Simple Storage Service, buckets and compatible objects store in preview. This compatibility improves the security by allowing only trusted connections to access the content in your private origins, preventing users from directly accessing it. Basically giving you more control around who can access that and allowing you to set up private origins. Now, it looks like S3 is just in preview. I'm sure that they're going to get like Azure and stuff added in there, but they don't say anything about it. You can check this out if you wanted to see more. This is their documentation, but it's pre-GA offering terms. So again, not quite GA terms here yet, so I'm not sure I would put anything sensitive behind this and expect it to be secure. That was it for Google. We can jump on to AWS. They're announcing the brand new Private Offers page in the AWS Marketplace console. What does this mean to you? I don't really know, to be honest. Now, Private Offers page is basically a AWS Marketplace thing where companies can, you can go to the AWS Marketplace and you can get a standard set deal. You can go there right now, click a buy button and get that thing. But if you're a bigger company and want to actually make a deal with that company, let's say I wanted to go buy whatever, and whatever costs $100 per VM, I could go do that right now. But if I'm VMware, I want to be like, well, I don't want to pay that for everyone, whatever, because I'm going to buy a lot of them from you. I'm going to buy 1,000 of them from you, and I'm going to sign a 2-year contract, 2 years. Can I get a deal? And you'd be a fool not to say, yeah, you can get a deal. So what this, the private offers, I'm sorry, I went on a little tangent there just to describe private offers, allows you to do this. And they've been making improvements to it, and it's finally coming to fruition. So I'm happy to see that. I haven't seen the new private offers screen, though, so I can't tell you exactly what it is, other than what they're telling you here, which it makes it easier for customers to view their private offer information and make more informed purchase decisions by accessing them directly in the console. So I'm assuming that some of that stuff where you had to talk to your sales rep just to understand what was going on, it has now gone away, and they're actually displaying more information. Cool. Let's move on. Amazon EC2 launch templates now support AWS System Manager parameters for AMIs. Yeah, so this is just expanding on the launch templates. If you use launch templates a lot, it's good to know that these now are supported. Amazon RDS for MariaDB now supports enforcing SSL TLS connections. This is pretty fantastic. Security is a big deal. Security is a big deal. And you need to do what you can to ensure that you don't get hacked. And this is one of the ways that you can do that. Is by making sure you have, it's these layers of securities where, let's say a bad actor does get on your network. What if all your internal network traffic is SSL TLS connections? They should stop putting SSL in here. It's TLS connections. You're not making SSLs. That's old, outdated. It's a TLS connection. I'm really pushing for it. We should just stop using SSL. AWS Fault Injection Simulator announces increased quotas for target. If you use fault injection, which I think you should if you're on AWS, it's pretty fantastic. They have increased quotas, which is nice. It was kind of limited. It wasn't bad, though. It wasn't bad. All right, I put this in the cloud news. It's kind of security, though. I always go back and forth, but Microsoft Teams and Microsoft 365 had outage issues. I didn't see any news that Azure, because I know that these tools are run on Azure. I didn't actually see any news that Azure itself had problems. So it looks to be localized just to them, but it's interesting that both of those were taken down together. Now, it wouldn't surprise me if Teams and Microsoft 365 shared services. So maybe a common service took both of them down. All right, so the coolest update for the cloud is this Azure machine learning. We have public previews, updates, and general availability updates. So this is like Microsoft's cognitive services. There's also the AWS Dream. I want to say Dream Machine. It's not a Dream Machine. It's not Widowmaker. Is it Dream Maker? It's not Dream Maker. I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now, but yeah. So we can go over these new updates. The general availability is the add tags to workspace and compute, search for Azure machine learning assets across multiple workspaces, network isolation, customizing your view of jobs metrics, and compartmentalizing access to data with identity pass-through. We talked about this one because that's actually a pretty cool one with the RBAC. But I think the public preview is more exciting. This is the stuff in the pipeline that you can start using. Okay, so using AutoML in Designer. This looks kind of interesting. I'm kind of excited about this. We might do a stream about this, and I'm not even an Azure person. You can now drag and drop your data, hook it up to an AutoML task, and deploy the resulting best model. This is a perfect solution for no-code, low-code users who want to build enterprise-quality machine learning models. I don't know the cost, but this seems kind of cool. And like, honestly, this seems like what I've always said machine learning should be. It should be, I have this data, I want to train it, and I don't need to know all of the math that's behind it. The math is cool, you should probably get to know it, but I think this is a great, like, small to medium-sized business that wants to train some of their data that they specifically have. So you can't go use a generic ChatGPT or something. But they don't want to be ML specialists. I think this is huge, and I think this is really cool. Audit and observe compute instance OS version. I don't really care about that. That's dumb. If it's your server, I don't want to know about it. As far as I care, I don't even care if it's running an OS. Recover deleted workspace data by enabling soft delete. This is always nice if you're working on a large team. I can't tell you how many times people have accidentally deleted stuff. The only problem with this is you have to also make sure to clean the stuff up then with a good like auto delete time. Create and manage your schedules in Azure ML Studio. That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. And that's about it. Yeah, you can use debug pipeline performance issues, things like that. Pretty good. Azure App Health Extension, rich health states. So just improving health states. So the monitoring servers used for managing and upgrading your scale sets have rolled out 2 new health states, initializing and unknown. So it's just nice that you're getting a little bit more information back on your health. So be looking out for that if you've had issues with that. I'm not an Azure person, so I don't know if there was a lot of issues with that. Hopefully there wasn't a whole lot of issues with that, but yeah. All right, let's talk about, actually there is a very interesting GitHub topic coming up. So we'll have to see that for all of you who, this is going to probably ruin the day of at least 12 people. 12, maybe 13. Maybe 13, but we'll get to it. Introducing waiting room bypass rules. We talked earlier about a couple weeks ago about the waiting room, maybe months ago at this point. Anyways, there are new bypass rules, so you can have some specific traffic that gets to bypass these queues, and that's pretty cool. this was just an article on how Cloudflare is faster than Zscaler. The reason I brought it up here is because as Cloudflare does, it's a pretty good article, and I think that you could actually learn from it. It's sales. I wanted to say marketecture, but for sales architecture. It's there to entice you. But one of the things you can learn from these as engineers is how they compare things and how they look at things when comparing things, and trying to understand what's important to people and why that would be important, what these numbers even mean. So I think they did a really good job of being upfront with where they're good, where they're maybe not quite as stellar. But also just doing a good job of explaining how they tested it and why. Because when you're testing performance and understanding performance and everything, it can be a little tricky. All right. This is it. The big GitHub news. Sunsetting Subversion support. 2024, January 8th, GitHub will remove support of Subversion. So you guys have a year. You have a year. If you use Subversion, what is the term for what salespeople produce? Lies. Oh. You ruined it, Russell. I was trying to get all dramatic for the sunsetting of Subversion. The feature I said will make at least 12 people upset. One second. Does GitHub support Mercurial? I don't know. So yeah. Anyways, you have a year. Fewer than 0.02% of requests made to the Git backend come through a Subversion endpoint. And only about 5,000 repositories even see a single request each month. So, anyways. All right. That was it really for me for cloud news. I didn't see a whole lot else. We can talk about... We'll talk about the clouds laying off and stuff like that. I think there's some interesting numbers that Russell actually brought up. And I have a couple just articles on like some of that. Also, what not to do when you're getting laid off. So we'll talk about that. I found a couple interesting articles though. And so we should talk about these. New tool incoming that wraps an SVN repo in a Git repo so it can still be backed up in the cloud. So, yeah. I mean, all you have to do is push every once in a while to a Git repo. You don't even have to wrap it. I mean, like, you can just run both SVN that you use daily and Git, and you just make big chunk commits, like, right? I think you could probably swing it like that. Not saying that I would. Just learn Git. But okay, so I found this to be interesting. It was a really good read. Finally, a fast algorithm for shortest paths on negative graphs. It goes into why it's a thing of interest, and like greedy algorithms to try to do this. So think matrix, think machine learning. This is useful, and it goes into pretty good detail. So I liked it. I think that if you're interested in algorithms or whatnot, yeah. I might even make some videos on algorithms eventually when I get the time, maybe when I'm done with my Rust one. And this would be one that I would do for sure. It was cool to just think about how they were thinking about it. This was interesting, and it should have been in the security, but it's not because I was rushed. And actually, I think while I was looking at this is when I choked on some water and I was coughing, and that's why it got missed. So my bad. We'll move on. This I found super interesting. So the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, released this, and it looks innocent. It looks innocent, and I love it. It looks innocent. And you're going in here, and it's like, oh, cyber criminals are purchasing advertisements, and you're like, okay, so, sure. And so what it turns out is that cyber criminals are purchasing ads on like Google and getting people to click on them. So basically, cyber criminals are purchasing their own clicks. Okay, seems reasonable. What do you think the FBI's recommendation is? Can anybody guess what the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation of the United States of America, recommends that you do to protect yourself? Any guesses? And I know, I'm like 2 weeks late on this. I don't watch every public service announcement from the FBI. Go to page 2. No. That's actually almost as good as I had a machine learning algorithm rickroll me yesterday. So that was almost as good. Nope. All right, no other guesses? I'll show you. Use an ad block. Literally. FBI is recommending you use an ad block. I generally don't, because, if I could pay to use Google, I would much rather pay to use Google than to have an ad. But I can't, and I'm happy to, pay them however they get paid. So I generally don't use an ad block, but I do find this funny that the FBI recommends that you use an ad block when searching the internet. Will an ad blocker work on a Google search result page? I mean, it wouldn't be an ad blocker if it didn't, would it? I don't know. I don't use an ad blocker. But yeah. I found that funny. Anyways. I found that funny. Sorry, not getting onto that quite yet. Not quite yet. I'm just rearranging a few of these really quickly. All right. Octo Suite. A new tool to conduct open source investigations on GitHub. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool. Now, at first, I had a question of what is open source investigations? What do you mean? Are you talking about like security investigations? Are you talking about like, are you using my license properly investigation? Are you talking about, is this a useful tool? So I swallowed some water wrong before this started. Give me just a second. All right. So what Octo Suite is, or Octo Suite, I think it's Octo Suite. It's really not for Git. It's more of GitHub, very specifically GitHub. Octo Suite is an advanced GitHub framework written in Python that uses GitHub's public API to make the process of investigating accounts and repositories on the platform more efficient while creating a set of automated and easily reproducible queries. So this is like, it goes into like connecting more than just GitHub and searching through the internet. So here you can see, like, list all of the CVEs, management commands, the log commands, all of these things that are going to help you do like a review of a GitHub repository. I think that this is actually going to be really, really powerful on many ways. Not only just from like a compliance standpoint, allowing you to look at a repository's responsibility, its users and whatnot, and how it handles things. That's one way, but but also for doing some in-depth investigations and stuff. So I'm interested in using this. I haven't got my hands on it yet. We'll probably install it. So if you catch me in a stream and want to see it, we can look at it. But yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of interested. And that's it for right now. Now, I have two things we can talk about. We have the economy is bad, and we have to talk about AIs. Oh yeah, that scene transition. All right. One, our AI is coming for your job. And two, is this downturning economy going to make us more heavily reliant on AIs? Now, I think statements from OpenAI's leader, I think CEO is probably the statement here. Let me show this. I shouldn't have switched. And this is my exact thoughts on it. This is coming from maybe one of the most advanced AIs out there, GPT-4. We don't have actual general intelligence. And that's kind of what's expected of us. Now, he's saying this in terms of actual people being disappointed in GPT-4's actual capabilities because of how much they like ChatGPT. And he's saying that they're going to actually be disappointed because it's not actually intelligent. And this is kind of, I think, a big problem around the machine learning, artificial intelligence hype, is that everything we're doing is actually artificial intelligence. So, and I actually like using the word there because I generally get on to people. I'd like to investigate into real machine intelligence, but you don't actually look at a plane and say, oh, look at that plane, it's artificial flight. Well, if it wasn't actually flying, then it would be artificial flight. Artificial flight would be like a flight simulator. That would be artificial flight. But that plane is actually flying. You could say the humans in the plane maybe are artificially flying because the humans aren't actually flying. It's the plane. I don't know. That's getting a little too deep for me. But my point is these things aren't actually intelligent. They can do a lot of stuff, but they can't do anything intelligently. They are a black box, and a set of inputs come in and a set of outputs come out. It doesn't actually know what those inputs do. It just knows how to translate them to a set of outputs. And don't get me wrong, ChatGPT, GPT-4 are amazing in their capabilities. And there's a couple other ones that look to be coming out. I know Google has said that that it has one that it's going to come out with that's going to challenge ChatGPT and going to be better than it. We'll see. We'll see if it is. I hope for Google's sake it is, because Google's main source of revenue is search, and I think ChatGPT or GPT-4 could actually hinder that dominance. But as far as an engineer goes, look, I tried yesterday. And I had a pretty crappy looking website. But I deployed what we made yesterday, and it's not any better. It's better in one regard. Because this is what we got. This is an AI. We spent 5.5 hours programming this. It was brutal. The only thing that got better about this website, yeah, the FBI has just hindered Google's probably. I don't know if anybody actually reads those other than like me, but yeah. The only thing that got better about it is I asked ChatGPT to make me a link to my YouTube. And instead of asking me what my YouTube channel is, it just it just sent me to Never Gonna Give You Up. It just gave me this link. It was amazing. I didn't ask for this link. It gave me the link I needed. So now my website doesn't link to my content. It links to that. It's pretty fantastic. My website has been upgraded. So. But yeah, it's all really cool and it's all interesting. And I actually think that you could leverage ChatGPT for your work as an engineer. I actually think I'm going to make a video on how to effectively leverage ChatGPT while learning software engineering. The thing is, what I found is I actually had to know what I wanted when I asked it. I had to know what I was trying to do to get it to give me what I wanted, which meant that I needed to know what I needed to get it, which means I already needed to know it. Or at least know 80% of it. That's where I think it's really powerful. If you know 80% of it and you need to get that other 20%, that's where ChatGPT can be super powerful. Where you need that other 10, 20%. You just want to fill in the blanks of this. You want to do this. That is where it can be really useful. And that's where I see all of these. Tab 9, Copilot, Code Whisperer, all of those follow the same thing. If you know what you want to do and how you want to get there and what you want it to look like, you can leverage them and they can be really powerful. They can help you go faster. Unless if it's YAML, they fail flat on their face. Actually, Copilot does better on YAML. Tab 9 is absolutely terrible at YAML. And Code Whisperer I don't even think it tries on YAML. So, anyways, that's my... If you're worried about machine learning on top of it's being sensationalized, it's being hyped, and for good reason. It's cool. But it's just not there yet. All right. Let's talk about the layoffs. Now, I would argue that if you can, these big providers, these big cloud providers, Amazon, Google, let me look something up really quickly. All right, let me share my screen. Oh, that's brutal. All right. So have you tried to get it to teach you a new language based on knowing a first language code language yet? No, I haven't. That's actually a fun example. Like, let's do that Tuesday stream. I'll do that. I'll try to get it to teach me a language. Saying I know another language. That would be fun. I'm happy to blame salespeople lying. That's happy on me. No, I actually think I think it's social media. I think social media and influencers get paid to sensationalize everything. That's how they get clicks. That's how they get views. That's how they, that's how they get paid. And so when you have people that are getting paid to sensationalize, it's the same thing that's wrong with our news system. It's not about actually covering truth or actuality or having a reasonable mind on it. It's about having something, a thumbnail, a title, a idea that is going to draw people in. So I know the other metrics. I already have the other metrics. What I wanted to talk about is something I've seen with these, and what I don't understand. Amazon is profitable. Amazon is profitable. Google is profitable. Microsoft is profitable. Now, I'm not saying if you have employees laying around doing nothing because you don't know what to do with them, that's not what I'm talking about. In that case, you probably need to reorganize, you need to lay off people. If you don't know what to do with your employees, if you can't make them be productive, and by make, I don't mean like force them. I'm saying like if you're struggling to have productive workers because you have too many and you don't know what to do with them and you don't have a good structure in your company to encourage them to work, absolutely. You need to lay off, you need to restructure, you need to make that structure in your company to encourage and support your employees in what they're supposed to be doing to bring you benefit. That being said, Amazon's profitable. We can look at others. We can look at others, but what I don't understand, and this is actually a really great thing. So this is the total number of employees, and this is what Russell brought out, was that, this was the interactive chart of the annual world-wide employees count from 2010 to 2022, and you can see it here. There's still very much net growth, wildly net growth, as far as just from the last 5 years, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you can see that we're still very much growing. And we can actually see that in here. Now, I can't zoom in on this because it's Google Sheets, and Google Sheets is stupid. But you can actually see here, this is a chart that Russell found that looks out really awesome. And I'll get to the PE value. I will get to the PE value because I think you're right, Russell, but I would argue that that's super short-sighted. But we'll talk about that in just a second. This is a really cool chart because it also gives you a better picture. Everybody's like doom and gloom and bleak and whatnot. But the difference between 2021 and 2022, now this doesn't have Amazon, but that's why I pulled up Amazon. Amazon's a little difficult because like a lot of these are like warehouse workers. It's not just like straight tech, so they actually have a lot more employees than these other companies do. But the fact is, in 2022, even after the layoff, they're still up 30,000 employees. They're still up 30,000 from where they were. So it's not. It can feel bad, and you know what? I feel for you if you've been laid off, and I get it, and that sucks. But it might not be quite as bad as we're looking at, or as some of the people are saying. Not yet, at least. We'll see what the future has to do. Now, what I'm going to get into is so anyways, this was really good, and this was encouraging to me even because I've been feeling some of it. I've been like, wow, this could really suck. The news is kind of paid to sensationalize it. Your tech YouTubers are kind of paid to sensationalize it. And so this is actually a really nice chart. And I'm actually going to try to keep up a spreadsheet with some of these layoffs. I'm going to pull some from like the layoff tracking website that's out there. Obviously, there's some more like Coinbase is going to lay off some more employees. And there were some other ones. I actually pulled up some articles. We can look through them if you want. There's this Avian that's going to lay off about 20% of their employees. So we can go through and look at some of those. I'm not sure if they're actually useful. But what I wanted to kind of, I appreciate seeing this because I think that it looks better than what it is. Or at least it looks better than what I was feeling like it felt like. When you realize that, yes, Google laid off 12,000 people, but that's still 5%. Now, the Google ones. Now, Russell, you argue their PE ratio. Their PE ratio. I think that's short-sighted. I think that's dumb. I really do. And the reason I say that is right now, when let's say I'm Microsoft. I'm saying the other clouds are slowing down. We're still making money. Let's say we don't even fire people, but we just reorg to get some of the people that are working on some of the AR stuff that we don't want to support anymore, and we put them into our cloud and we innovate the crap out of it. Maybe we even hire because we have the money to do it. Now, again, this doesn't work if you're saying that you have too many people and you don't know what to do with them, because I think a lot of these tech companies have more people than they actually know what to do with. Easily. I'm not arguing that. And if that's what these tech companies are doing, just kind of like a soft little reset so that they can, kind of use this as an excuse to like refocus themselves, fine. But in my mind, this is when you should be driving innovation. When your competitors are stagnating. Shareholders are stupid then. They need to walk a fine line, which, honestly, Microsoft hasn't actually laid off that many. Microsoft laid off fewer than Google did. Laid off fewer than Google did and had more people to start with. And they do have more people than before. Let me pull that chart back up. And they have more people than they did before. So like, again, maybe this is just they're using it as a way to realign their things and maybe appease some of the shareholders too. Like, hey, we're doing things to keep our PE up. So yeah, and like you're saying, these numbers are they still have 30,000 more than what they did in 2021. Yeah. We can see Amazon still has a lot. So that being said, I want to go to an article of something not to do if you're getting laid off. Let me find it. It's one of these tabs. All right. Don't be this person. And this has a ton of ads. I'm sorry. I'm going to start using the FBI's advice. This guy basically tweeted, though, that no thanks. There we go. This guy tweeted this. Don't be this person. I would never hire you. And let me put it in a way such like, I hate layoffs, and I would do everything in my ability to not lay somebody off because I know what the person goes through, because I have been through it. But don't be this person. You can also face legal ramifications. This person said that they saw a bug in a code review, but they merged it anyways. And then if they didn't get laid off, they would fix it. Otherwise, it was going to production, and it would be in production after they got laid off. Don't be this person. This is not how to deal. This is not how to deal with it. There are bad ways, and there are worse ways. This is in the worst. Inflation is slowing. We saw that, which is good. A lot of this pressure is being put on by the feds to slow inflation. We saw that it was slowing. I think the feds also announced that they were going to slow how fast they increased the rate. Although I did hear that a little piece of statistics in the past, they have always had to increase the Fed's rate above the rate of inflation to actually stop inflation. But yeah, that's my whole point. Nobody would want to hire this person. I understand being upset. I understand whatnot, but literally no one would like, and I understand you being upset because you're being laid off, but I would not want to hire you. I like this person. If I was Amazon, he wouldn't be getting laid off anymore, and he wouldn't be getting a severance. They would be getting fired. And yeah, don't be this person. Don't handle being laid off this way. Try to learn from layoffs. You know, it's almost impossible to learn from layoffs. If you got laid off, I'm sorry. Or if you're struggling to find a job now, I'm also sorry. It sucks. And it's hard to learn from a layoff because it doesn't necessarily mean you did anything wrong, which is an interesting thing because Google's layoffs seem to hit random people. A lot of the times, like Microsoft, for example, hit their lower performers. It was kind of you're not working well. And sometimes it was also lower performing projects. So I would say lower performing individuals and lower performing projects. So like, okay, we don't see this project working out. So like Microsoft's, one of the things Microsoft laid off was its MRTK kit. Here, let me share my screen again. Where it laid off everybody in the MRTK as an open source mixed virtual reality kit. And I don't think it was saying anything about the people working there. It was more about this project isn't working out for us. It's not achieving our goals. But Google's was really interesting. You can actually see Google employees scrabble for answers after layoffs hit long-tenured and recently promoted employees. The weird thing about Google's layoffs was it seemed to hit high performers. So, and this is from an outside view, from what I've read, it hit mostly high performers and not the low performing. So a lot of times, again, it would be low performance, but this seemed to be people that were doing well and that were driving things. So I guess it's confusing some people inside. So it wasn't like it was in, as far as I know, Azure hasn't actually let go of anybody. It's been just Wow, Viagra ad. Haven't been searching for that. Um, uh, that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All right, Adblock from now on. You would have thought that Microsoft would have tried to push them into HoloLens and AR products. I absolutely agree. This is where if I was Microsoft, I would have reorganized. I would have scrapped some projects, and that would have been my sell to my shareholders is what we're doing right now to protect our PE, to try to, but also to look, not shoot ourselves in the foot for 2024, is we're going to scrap these projects and we're going to put them on the ones that we actually see could be profitable in the future. I know that the military kind of killed their military HoloLens deal, but like you could put some more effort into that and maybe make that a thing in the future. Like there's obviously interest there and things like that. Um, so anyways, I agree. I agree with you, Russell. Like I said from the beginning, I think like this is preemptively letting go. And again, I think Microsoft actually let go a lot of low performers. I think there was also low performing teams. And you know what? Sometimes it's not your fault that you're a low performer. Sometimes it's the team that doesn't work out. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad team. I'm not saying that the team is bad or that you should even look at that team and be like, that was a bad team. I didn't perform very well. That would be super narcissistic and not the way to look at it. But you can look at it and be like, that type of team doesn't sit well with me. I don't like it. I don't work well in that type of environment. Maybe other people do, and that can be fine. But it's those are some of the lessons you can learn, even if you get laid off and it's not your fault, when you're looking at this, because you can be like, okay, well, I don't work in those type of teams very well, and I was being a low performer. So how can I be a better performer? What would make me be a better performer? There's tons of different teams, and they're all different. Anyways, don't be this guy. Don't be this guy. I hope he was trying to do it for the views or something. But again, that's the problem with social media. Yeah, that's exactly what I would do, Russell. We are cutting projects with doubt and attempting to accelerate our higher success experiments or experiments. Higher success things like Azure. They make money with Azure, so I think it's a pretty good one. Their machine learning, Chat GPT. They have a bunch of stuff in the things. Obviously, if there's low performers, fine. I think it really helps companies, and I think Microsoft did a fairly good job of how they laid the people off. There could be some missteps, but like I don't think it was horrible. I think the biggest complaint was that some of the C-suite went to like a concert before the layoffs, and that's kind of bad manners. Um, Another thing is like another thing I would say is some people were asking if Google's CEO would quit because he said he takes full responsibility, and I don't think that's a good statement. He said he takes full responsibility, and that doesn't mean quitting. I thought that was kind of rude. You can take full responsibility for a mistake and you don't quit. Quitting is meaning that like that's the wrong thing. Now, if you say taking a pay cut, absolutely, he could take a pay cut to hopefully keep some of the people on or something like that. There's definitely ways for that, but taking responsibility doesn't mean you quit, because that also means that have you never made a mistake? I make mistakes, and I hope that I don't have to quit every time I make a mistake. If I had to quit every job that I made a mistake at, I would be employed much less time. Mistakes are a part of life. You just have to learn from them, and not make them again. If you keep making the same mistake, that's when you quit. You're like, yeah, I've made this mistake 4 times. I'm done. I'm going to go become an influencer. I think he should lose his bonus. I agree with you, Russell. Sergio, I also agree with you. That's the stance that I take. It can be hard, but you're getting paid until the last day, so you should always do your best work until the last day too. Agreed. And it can be hard. I'm not sitting here saying it's not. I have been laid off before. So it can be very hard, but you do your best, and guess what? I have a lot of people that will vouch for me that I will try to do my best no matter what the circumstance is. And I only have those people because I've always done that. And that's a pretty valuable thing in your career. Loses bonus, salary should remove the. Yeah, I mean, if he made that big of a mistake, I think that's reasonable. Your bonus should be a bonus that you get because you've done an exceptional job, and that large of a mistake is probably not an exceptional job. So yeah, I think that's actually a good one. But again, don't ask for him to quit. People make mistakes. I'm sure that he's made a lot more than that up to this point. So now there's how you handle it. I haven't seen anything to say that Google has handled it poorly. I'm not a defender of Google, but I haven't seen anything that they seem to get like almost half a year of pay. They got their stocks vested. They got a half a year of healthcare, and they got this year's bonus. So I don't know. It sounded okay to me. As far as layoffs go. I like it, Russell. If people don't learn from their mistakes, the company will end with new people making the same old mistakes of their predecessors. Absolutely. Absolutely. Can't express it enough. I did see one, and I don't know how many Googlers it was, but there were some Googlers asking if he was going to step down. I was like, that's kind of rude to assume that you can't make a mistake at all. Anyways, I wanted to say thanks, Russell, for showing that off, because I feel like it made me feel better. I've been having a little heavy heart maybe recently from all of it, and I think that spreadsheet lays it out really nicely, and I might even try to expand on it my own, try to piece some of this together, like I've seen. All right, that being said, I wanted to pose something to you all that are here. I think I might move this to just my streaming channels. I have different streaming channels than this. This is my YouTube channel, and I'm thinking about not streaming on this video channel. I'm trying to do some things in 2023, see if I can't get some of my education out to more people. And so I think this might actually help. I might just stream on my streaming channels, and this will then move to that and won't be here anymore. That being said, I am streaming Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturday mornings, and it's a lot of fun. So let me show you. Russell, I have worked on it. You will be proud of me. Maybe not. You might not be proud of me. But check it out. I've been recreating what the AI kind of gave us. It still rickrolls you. This is on my local host. I said I'd leave it deployed for a week. What I want to do is have this one fully updated by the end of the week. I still have been working on these sides. This is actually half hand-drawn. It started with an AI generated, but now I'm hand working on it. So getting the side panel in. Next Saturday, when we are trying to do the next Saturday, we're going to do, what is it called? Tailwind. People want me to try Tailwind, so I might try that next Saturday. I want to have this new one deployed because I think it will be cool. It should be cool. Oh, null cloud blog series, maybe tech sector job stats. I like that. We should talk about it on Discord. What it would mean, what it would look like. I'm just trying to shake it up a little bit, because I feel like people really like this stream that actually watch it, but it doesn't actually get to a whole lot of people. Maybe it's because it's really niche and I need to broaden it a little bit, but I also don't want to ruin it for the people that like this news segment, because obviously they really like something about it, because I have, a couple people who are like a year and a half, like have been around for the majority of it. But I'm going to try to shake some stuff up. I'm going to try to, figure out this whole streaming and being a content creator. It looks less scary than the AI suggested one with the cyberpunk soldier. Yeah, I spent a little while whispering to an AI to get this, and then I've actually hand painted some of it. My wife is also then helping me some. Some of it just doesn't make sense. All of this AI art like looks cool if you just look at it, and then also you're just like, oh, those lights are floating in the air. Interesting. I don't know where those came from. Broaden it. Let's get more voices in here. What do you mean by that? Do you want to get want me to get more people to join me on the Sunday news section? I would love to have other people to chat with. I keep a running log of the things I want to talk about throughout the week, and if somebody would want to join me, obviously I would want somebody that is actually part of or has been part of the industry, that's still kind of in the industry. Yeah, AI art is great for inspiration, not so much for the final product. I agree. Let's talk about what you mean by broaden it, because I'm happy to. Happy to try some things out. And I also really want you guys to let me know. Be like, "Hey, no, that's not fun. That sucks. Don't do that again." Because I feel like and I think you guys are actually all pretty good at doing that. So, I'd like to, make sure that you guys are open to doing that, because I'm gonna try some things. We'll see if they're good or not. You mean changing things up to get a bigger audience? Oh, you mean like talking more about like maybe some consumer things, like Apple's things, and maybe doing a little less on security and doing it more on maybe some consumer tech news? I could do that. I follow that some. Like I saw the Apple thing. So I do follow consumer tech news some, just because, yeah. I do have some things. So, for one, I was going to shorten the security and only talk about like if there was really interesting things. Like the whole thing with LastPass, but like talking a little bit more in depth with them and not having as broad. The only problem with that is there's not always a LastPass thing to talk about, which means like sometimes there'd just be no security. I was thinking of changing up how I do like the cloud news a little bit. I just kind of pick the things that look like they could be really interesting to a general population. I don't know exactly on that one. I'm still working on that one. Because yeah, I thought about doing it a little bit narrower and doing it on specific things. But again, that feels bad to me. But that was one thought, is narrowing that down a little. One was adding a little bit more general software. So I've been starting to like track some languages. Oh, I forgot to go back and cover Go. We'll cover Go. It needs a proper Go. So covering some stuff like that, like Go is coming out, and some Rust releases, and tracking some of those releases and talking about some of the highlights on them. It means that there would be a little less structure because it would be a little bit different each week. It would be like, well, Go 120 is coming out, and here's the highlights. Kubernetes 128 is coming out, and I'm not releasing a whole video. It's covered in my news, and just put all those things in there. So that was another thing that I thought of doing. It will be a little bit more prep for my news, but some weeks it will be really short because some weeks none of that stuff will be happening. You know, a Kubernetes release or a Go release or a Rust release, or, you know, I might track a few other really popular languages like C++ and Java. But yeah, so some weeks it will just be shorter because there won't, and maybe we'll find something else to do on the days that it's shorter. Or maybe we're just fine with, well, on some days it's 15 minutes because there wasn't a whole lot of things releasing. So those were some of my ideas. I don't know. Again, I want to experiment with it and see if I can't make this more appealing to people. So, and I'm happy to hear what you're thinking too. All right, well, that's it for me today. I'm gonna work on figuring out why my Steam Deck died and all my other problems that I have, but my internet did not fail, so it's a whole win. Plus, you can make shorts from them, so you have specific videos out when the news is still new. I actually like that idea because if I cover it and then I could make a short tonight from the recording or something, that might be really good. So yeah. That was the thought. I would, yeah. Yeah, Kubernetes release now a day or two before of it being released. So that's an interesting concept because sometimes they release on Wednesday. Are you wanting me to do it on my Thursday streaming? And just say I will cover the news, any of those things like the day they are released? Or are you saying on the Sunday is fine? It will just, you know, if it's on Wednesday, it will be 3 or 4 days. Well, Wednesday. I guess it depends on if you count Wednesday or not. But yeah. Okay. I guess, yeah, it depends. Maybe what I could do. Oh, actually, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to do. And then I'm going to get going. What I need to do is I could start the streams with news each time. I could do that. Okay, let's think on that. And maybe we'll just try it both ways, where I start the stream with news, like just a rolling news, which means we have smaller segments of news and some other stuff. Or what I could also do is, like, on the day Kubernetes release, have a little short ready that I could do a short and say, hey, join me this Sunday for the news. I don't know. Give me your ideas in Discord. Let me know in the comments of the video. Like I said, I'm going to be trying some things. Please be patient with me if some of them really suck and you don't like them. Just let me know that you don't like them, and I'm happy to not do the ones that suck or iterate on them a little bit. So yeah. Anyways, have a fantastic week. I look forward to seeing you guys maybe on Tuesday, maybe on Thursday, but definitely on Saturday. It's a nice longer stream, and we'll try some stuff out, and we'll have a great 2023. See you, everyone.